So now we're going to learn about Flexbox in this section, and Flexbox is flexing awesome because it is now the de facto standard for creating layouts. And you can go to Can I Use and see Can I Use it, and you can type in Flexbox, and hallelujah, 96.84% of browsers support Flexbox. So it's really what you should be using to do layout. And we've already learned some stuff about layout. And so the things we've learned about layout are like the box model, right? Content, padding, border, margin. The box model, box sizing, border box, right? So don't have your padding and your border increase the size of the element on the page once you've explicitly set the size of the element on the page and said shrink everything inwards. Border radius for rounding things. Margin 0 auto for centering stuff. And then we saw the display property with block, inline, inline block, and none. So we've learned all that. Now we're going to learn about the flex value. So the flex value is a value you set on the display property. But I really think about layout kind of like in 4 categories. And those 4 categories are, the first category is display, the display property with these values, right? Because that's kind of like one way you could do some layout stuff. The next category is the display property with this value. So that's how we're going to initialize and use Flexbox. We set display flex. We use that in our CSS rule set as a declaration. And then that kind of sets everything off and running. We're going to learn all about how to use Flexbox. And then a couple of other ways that we do layout. So I think about layout in 4 categories. This is one category, display property with these values. This is another category, display property with the flex value. Here's the third category, right, which is position, the position property, and the position property can take these values. And then here's the fourth category for layout, the fourth thing people use for layout, and that's float. It's a CSS property, and it could have these values, and float sucks. All right, so I just want to give you a couple of examples of what we're going to build in this section. So I'm going to open up these files here, and I'll just open them all, and then we'll go look at them. Except I keep clicking over to them like I just woke up, because I did. And I just flew in. All right, so here's one. Pretty cool. I really like this menu. Right, you see that, and then kapow, goes to mobile, and that's happening with a media query. So we're going to learn about media queries after we do Flexbox. We are right here. All this layout stuff is kind of hitting together, right? We had to layout intro, and then display, and then Flexbox, and then media queries, and then more Flexbox, and more Flexbox. These are some Google design patterns we're going to see. And then we're going to do position. So remember, position right here. So we'll do position, and when you open that up, you see fixed, relative, absolute. Fixed, relative, absolute. I'll change the order of those. And then we're going to do float, right? So that's kind of what's coming up, all that layout stuff. So there's one example of Flexbox with media queries. Totally cool. Here's the next example of a Flexbox. It does true centering, so vertically centers, and everything's flexing. Here's another example, right? Menu over on the left, and then as you go over, it kind of scales to any screen size. That's one of the goals. Another example here, right? Nice media query breaks, but Flexbox lets you just take things and rearrange them, rearrange the whole order, everything. Totally cool. And then just a very similar layout, but different code and different look. So I wanted to include the different sort of way the code was done. But also really, really nice. Pretty sweet. All right, and the last thing that we will see in this, or one of the things I'm also going to show you is a website called Flexbox Froggy, where you have to use Flexbox to the property flex, display flex is how you start it, and then the different properties and values you could set to get your frog onto the lily pad or your frogs. And so that's going to help us learn about Flexbox. So Flexbox is awesome, and that's coming right now. And after you gain this skill set, you learn about the materials and the tools to be a craftsperson, building web pages. After you get this skill set, you are going to be able to hit some nice long runs, hit it out of the park. That's a better way. You're going to be able to hit it out of the park and do some really cool layout after you learn Flexbox. So I'm excited for you. Let's get started.